with him and pastor at the time. 34 years later, I do appreciate that gift. Did not appreciate it correctly at the time, not living for God or knowing anything about God. But now that I'm an older man, I appreciate the gift that I was given with being able to sit under both of them and being able to hear Bishop Wilson for literally probably tens of thousands of hours at this stage in my life, and have gleaned more from him through osmosis than I would have ever imagined. So the question that I'm posing today for life is, what does this mean? If you go back and look at humanity, the first event from humanity as we sit today, out of perfection, was right after the fall. And if you look at it, man and woman, mankind, fell. And Jesus, God, walked through the garden. I don't believe it was the man of Jesus, but let's just call him God, is looking for Adam and Eve. And he says, "Where are you?" And man says, "I heard thy voice in the garden and was afraid because I was naked." And God said, "Who told you you were naked?" And the man said, "The woman that thou gavest to me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat." The interesting thing to me here, and this has defined how I address life right there, it says, "The woman that thou gavest me." But God didn't ask why you were hiding. He said, "Who told you? And did you eat?" So the first thing mankind does is answer the question as to why. And then the woman says, well, the serpent answers the question why. But God never asked the woman why. And in fact, and you can fact check me and you can find some examples of how I'll be wrong, but I'm actually not. God never asked why. God understands the why. He's not asking us why we did something. He's not asking us why we didn't do something. He's going to not ask us. He's not concerned into why. So if God was going to ask himself a question at that moment after mankind sinned, what was the question he asked? Because the answer was the curse. So he answers his own question with, this is what's going to happen with the serpent. This is what's going to happen with woman. And this is what's going to happen with man. So the question that he answered with the curse is, man has now sinned. What does this mean? And he lays out what this means by answering with the curse. So, did God already know what this meant? Yes. But did man know what this meant? The answer is no. So when mankind sinned, their answer was, this is why it happened, but did not see the porthole in the spirit that they've opened and what this meant to them now. So we go through life asking ourselves, why? Why is this happening to me? Why am I being blessed? Why am I not being blessed? Why am I struggling? Why am I not struggling? Why is this person blessed? Why? But the question should be asked of ourselves, what does this mean? I'm here today. I'm in this situation today. I'm in this paradox today. I am here today. What does this mean? Not why am I here? Not even how did I get here? You're here. You're in the situation that you're in, good or bad. And the question of why is not even relevant because you're here. But the question of what does this mean is the main question. So, why do we ask ourselves why? To me, if you ask why, it's a bad word. And I'll ask why a lot of times, and you'll say, I gotchas, right? But should is a bad word too, right? Because should says I should, but I'm not accountable for what I did. Or could means I didn't, but I should have, right? So all of the whys and the shoulds and the coulds are words of inaction. They're not action words. They're not words in which we move on. If you ask why, there's no action or accountability from a why question. If I ask you why this happened, you're going to explain to me why it happened. But out of that why answer is typically not an action. But what does this mean is an action. What does this mean? Well, this means ABC. This means this. Now you have actions coming. So the reason God doesn't ask us why is because he's a God of action. So the question is, are we saints of action? How do we put action and mobility into our lives? So I am not a preacher. I'm just a saint. I never desired to be a preacher, don't desire to be a preacher. This is hopefully the last time I ever talk here. No desire to ever do this again in any capacity, in any way. I'm the CEO of several businesses. I think I've done fairly well. I started with $100. When I prayed through and got the Holy Ghost, I could barely read for all practical purposes. I went to college, and I took English with all the students where English wasn't their first language. It was very humiliating, and to be at that level. Went through, got my bachelor's degree, then got my master's degree, and pressed on. I've been at the top, and I have been at the bottom. I have been over the entire spectrum of wealth to the very bottom of scraping last pennies to having accounts with 7 and 8 figures in them. I've been all over the spectrum, right? But does any of that matter? And the question is if I'm dead broke today, what does that mean? And if I've got 9 figures in the bank, what does that mean? Not why. Not why. What does it mean that God trusts me with the finances? What does it mean if I'm at the bottom? Does that mean he doesn't trust me? What does it mean? What does it mean for us? So for me, I live my life not by the whys. And my daughter's here, and she can attest to my ability to take a risk. I'm not afraid of risk. I'm not afraid of failure. I'm not afraid of falling on my face. Because I'm living my life personally. And I don't know if you guys should do it. I'm not saying I recommend any of this. I'm just telling you how I live. But I live my life trusting God. And so there's a principle that I live by. And the principle is in Psalms. And it is in Psalms 37:23. And it says, the steps are a good man, ordered by the Lord. And I hear that, and I hear people talk about that. But what does that mean? What does this mean? What does this scripture mean? My steps, if I'm a good man, are ordered by the Lord. So the Lord will order my steps across this way. Does that mean he's telling me where to step? It doesn't say that. My pastor is here. He will correct all of the errors at the end of this. Yes, he's heard this little part before. But does that mean he's ordered my steps across? Does that mean that he told me where to step? Okay. God's ordered my steps across. Now I don't go. What does that mean? What does that mean if I don't go? He's ordered my steps. Did he tell me to step here? No. He didn't tell me where to step. He ordered my step. It's a military action. I order you to walk over there. I order you to go over there, but I don't go. But he's ordered my steps. God has ordered my steps. I have an order from my master. So if he orders my steps, am I guaranteed to succeed? Well, what's the scripture say after that? It says, though he fall. That's the guarantee. He will order your steps and you will fall. I'm just reading it. Though he fall. So, why would I step if I'm going to fall? He's already promised to me that I'm going to fall. I mean, that's the next line. So am I a fool for going? Is God not powerful enough? Though he fall. Though he fall. He shall not be utterly cast down. God orders your steps. So then the question is, if he orders your steps, why won't you go? Oh, it's wisdom. Oh, wisdom says you should have it in line. Oh, wisdom says I should have my ducks in order. Oh, wisdom says. Oh, so wisdom shields my fear. Wisdom is a veil that we can use to hide our fears. We're standing behind wisdom. Wisdom says that unless I know what I'm doing, I should count the cost. Or are we just masking our fears with wisdom? Are we standing behind wisdom and saying we are not going to do these things? So that we can stand back and say, well, I've got my 401k, I'm planning for the future, I'm investing in real estate, I'm doing all of these things because wisdom says, or am I just afraid? Which one is it? I mean, you got to own yourself. You have to own who you are. And so, if your steps are ordered, and he promises you'll fall, and then he promises that he will pick you up when you fall, why don't we go? And it comes down to courage. Do we have enough courage to do what the Lord has ordered us, not asked us, not encouraged us? Do we have the courage to do what the Lord has ordered you to do? Imagine going to a restaurant and ordering a meal, and they decide not to bring it. Imagine going anywhere on Amazon and ordering something, and Amazon chooses, because of wisdom, not to send it. Are you happy? You made the order. God has made the order, but we want God's orders to be convenient. We want God's orders to be easy. We want God's orders to be a plan that we agree with. We want God's orders to be on the time frame that we expect him to do. Because if you think about our lives and what God expects from us, we lay out the plan for God in which he should do things for us. We lay out how he should do it for us, when he should do it for us, and in the order he should do it to us. I would be a little irritated if I was your master and you laid out the plan for me. And I would do exactly the opposite. I would. So the question is, and I'm a business ministry guy, is do you have the courage? Do you have the courage to do this? Because this is not puppy dogs and unicorns. Business as ministry is tumultuous. Business as ministry will break the very core of who you are. And at the end of it, you will probably die broke. But will you follow the steps ordered by the Lord, or will you follow the steps that are convenient for your lifestyle? Which one is more important to us? Our current American lifestyle, or the steps ordered by our Lord and Master? That's how I live my life. I live my life stepping into the steps that are ordered by my Lord and Master. And I have a promise here that I will fall. I also have another promise. I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. I won't have to beg for bread. But I don't see a promise of a Rolls Royce. I don't see the promise of Rolexes. I don't see the promises of big houses. But I won't beg for bread. And I won't utterly fall. So, does God intend for us to live at minimum standards? If you step into your ordered steps, what does this mean? What does this mean? You're now living your life, and you're paying your tithes, and you're doing what your pastor asks, and you're doing these things, and you're obedient, and then you just say, that's awesome. And then you're good to go. And then you can live your life any way you like. Is that true? Is our life free after that? So, why do we live our lives with tithes? I hate tithes. I don't mind paying them. But because tithe is the minimum standard in which God accepts and expects from us. That's the minimum. And what will happen is your pastor will collect money for some event, and we will give it as saints or as business people or whatever it is. And then we get to clap our hands, dust off our pants, and then we move along mentally. I have done my duty. I gave my $400. Now my responsibility to this part of the gospel is relieved. It's not my responsibility anymore. It's my pastor's job now. He's the one that carries the burden for this. Right? That's his job. I gave my money. Now I can go drive my Rolls Royce. Now I can go do whatever I'm going to do because my responsibility to the gospel was taken in this offering. I'm not responsible anymore because my steps are ordered by the Lord or my pastor. Now you have to be in obedience to your pastor. But if your steps are ordered by the Lord, will you be responsible for the gospel? As saints, where does our responsibility for the gospel end? As business as missions, where does my responsibility for the gospel end? Or does it? Because as a saint, it's really easy. You give your offering and you are mentally done. If the rest of the saints give it, that's pastor's problem. If nobody else gives it, that's pastor's problem. If this doesn't happen, that's pastor's problem. I've given my $400. It is no longer my problem. Or is it my problem? What's my burden? Where do I go from here? What does this mean? If all chaos is breaking out in your life, what does this mean? If you're being blessed and the church is going through demonic opposition, what does this mean? If you're going through demonic opposition and the church is being blessed, what does this mean? What does this mean? How do you analyze your life in such a way that you know what this means? And are your steps truly ordered by the Lord? So the question is if your steps are ordered by the Lord, if he's ordering you to go, do I go this way? Do I go this way? Or do I go that way? Business as missions, people ask me all the time, will this ABC business work? Will this XYZ business work? Will this elemental P business work? The answer is, it can all work. You can deliver dog food and be a millionaire. You can, I don't care what you do. You can create the greatest code in the world and become a millionaire. I don't even think God cares. I'm going to be honest with you. But your inaction will never be blessed. Your inaction will never, ever, ever be blessed. When the Bible talks about inaction, it's with healing, or you're wounded, or you need saving. That's the only time inaction is dealt with favorably. There is not one way of being blessed with inaction. Well, which action is right? Does your pastor approve? Is it ordered by the Lord? Then go. Then go. Then just go. Well, what is the wrong way? Then go. Then go the wrong way. Go. But the problem isn't people going the wrong way, it's people not going. You won't go. Go. Well, I'm going to fall. Yes, you're going to fall. He told you. You're going to fall. But he also told you to pick you up and you won't beg for. You're going to have a house, you're going to have covering, and you're going to eat. So just go. Does anybody know the percentage, if a ship leaves point A to point B, does anybody know the percentage of time that ship is on course? 2%. 98% of the time that ship is off course, maybe just slightly, but it's off course. 98% of the time. The 2% of the time is mostly in the harbor at the beginning and at the harbor at the end. But the waves come. The wind comes. Well, I'm off course. Of course you're off course. The waves are coming. So are you that fearful? Are you going to be that controlled by fear and mask it with wisdom that you won't go? The problem isn't a lack of wisdom, it's a lack of courage. Are you willing to risk all of it? If you want to be blessed by the Lord, there is a day, and there's probably multiple days, that God is going to make you risk it all or lay it all down. That day is impossible to not come to. If you look, and it's preached about ministry, but I think it's actually about life. If you look at the Psalms about the man throwing the seed, weeping, he's casting the seed. So now your business is missions. It's you and your wife and your 2 kids. And you're trying to do something for God. And Brother Rowley comes in and he preaches blessings. And you ain't seeing it. And you're giving and you ain't seeing 2 nickels. And you're going, but you got 2 nickels. You don't got anywhere to go. You got nowhere to go. And all these people are preaching blessings and you ain't seen one of them. And you keep giving it. That man has a seed, and his wife's talking to him like, hey, we need to take that seed and ground it up into flour so we can make some bread so I can feed the kids. And that husband, nah, we're gonna cast that seed into the ground. But I am just telling you, the kids are hungry. I'm hungry. No, when the season's right, we're going to cast it into the ground. But you realize we don't have a lot of seed. We're not going to get a big crop. We're going to cast it in the ground. But we're hungry. The kids are crying. And that man takes his seed. And he goes outside and he starts weeping. And he's casting this seed going, are you anywhere, God? Do you even hear me? Do you not get my kids are starving to death? Do you not get that my wife thinks I'm an idiot and she's upset? Do you not see? And he's out there and he's casting the seed. And he comes back and his wife's mad. And she's ignoring him. And the kids are crying, and it's just worse than he got back. And he's got no seed left. And then a hurricane shows up. I just cast the seed. And now the storm is here? Seriously, God, did you not tell me to cast the seed? Where I'm it's so hard. But you've ordered my steps. So you cast the seed. And somehow the kids eat. And somehow the light bill stays on. And you look out and little crop is 4 inches tall. Corn is 4 inches tall. And you're like, babe, look. She's like, whatever. Let's see if it lives through the locusts. Then the locusts come. And you scare the locusts away. Now the crop is 2 foot tall. You say, babe, see? Well, let's see if it handles the heat of the sun. And then the heat of the sun comes, and you're out there, and you're watering it with everything you got. Now it's 6 foot tall. And now there's corn. Now what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? You're so hungry. You're so tired. Your steps have been ordered by God, but you don't feel him. You're just wondering where he's at. He ain't running the locusts off. You're running the locusts off. He ain't watering your plants. You're watering your plants. What do you do? Well, you take the first 10% of that crop and you give it in tithe. But you needed that because you're still hungry. And then you take it and you eat, you make some bread, and you celebrate. And then you put it, and then next year you double the field. And then you keep doing this year over year. Now your wife's not mad at you anymore. And your kids are getting fat. And everybody's happy. And now you're feeding the orphans in other countries. And now the widows come to you and you got plenty. It's not a big deal. And you're helping the widows, and you're helping the missionaries, and you're building churches in ABC country. And nobody remembers throwing the seed weeping. But there's no escaping if you're going to be blessed by casting the seed in tears. You're not going to escape that. You're not going to be able to alleviate your blessing. You're not going to be able to outsmart God. You're not going, because you being blessed, He don't need your money. I hate to break it to all of us. None of us are that important that He needs us. We're not His banker. He owns it all. So if you're blessed, what this means is He's doing a work in you. He's doing a work in your spirit. He's doing a work in your man. He's doing a work in your family. It's about the work in you, not about what you're doing for Him. What you're doing Him is a byproduct, in all honesty. He cares about the work in you more than He cares about you doing something for Him. If you don't have the revelation of doing something for Him, you'll never allow Him to do a work for you. It'll never, ever, ever happen. Being blessed isn't about what we have and how comfortable our lifestyle is. It's about what we're going to do for our Master who orders our steps. And we know that only 2% of the time we'll be exactly on course. And 98% of the time, we're going to try to get back on course. And we know we will fall. But do you have the courage to sow into something with tears? It's easier said than done. You can sow into something in concept. I can give advice to do that. But when it's your seed, and it's your tears, and it's your steps ordered by the Lord, this is individual for you. This is your walk. This is your time. This is your season with the Master. This is yours. This isn't mine. And I can push you. And I push people off knowing that they're going to fall. Because it's promised. And then they fall and they blame me. They blame me for, well, why didn't this happen? It's my fault. Because I couldn't guarantee absolute success. You're going to fall. But you won't utterly fall. It comes down to the courage. The courage. The courage. The courage. To follow the Master. We read the Bible today under the guise of Western thought. We think like Westerners. We think like modern day Westerners. And we don't read it with the thought process of the time it was written. And if you look at the Bible with the time that it was written, everybody believed in God or a God. But even then, did you have the courage to follow and step into your ordered path with your master? Even then, they wouldn't have wrote it unless people were struggling with it. They just wouldn't. The last part for me that I live by, and my pastor is here and he's preached this numerous times, but they go down to the sea in ships to do business in great waters. These see the works of the Lord and his wonders in the deep. If you want to see his wonders in the deep, you go to great waters. For he commandeth and riseth the stormy winds, which lifteth up the waves thereof. They mount up to the heavens, they go down against the depths. Their soul is melted because of trouble. Those that see the great wonders of the Lord, their souls have to melt with trouble. I don't see another option. But who wants that? Who's going to ask for that? Who's jumping off the cliff saying, I want trouble. I want to fall. I want to struggle. I want all of these really hard things. Nobody is. None of us are fools. But the question is do we have the courage in the face of utter destruction to follow our ordered steps? Because your family will think you're wrong. They'll call you unwise. I have been laughed at and to my face by people that I love. I started the current business I have with $100. That's worth, I got an offer last year for $125 million. I didn't borrow money. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going. But my steps were ordered that way. So I went, and my steps are being ordered. And there's two, pastor doesn't know this, and I hope he doesn't ask me, but there's two men in our church that laughed at me in my face about where I was going. Literally laughed at me in my face. And I'm just trying to survive. I am just trying to make it. And right after one of these men laughed at my face, and I'm not mad at him, I love him to this day. I love him. Not mad at him, not angry. That same day, I drove bus ministry for probably 25 years. And I committed to always not having the church pay for the gas in the bus. And this man laughed at me about what I was doing for money. Just basically called me an idiot, reality. And I get in this bus, and I had put, and I mean, I'm 40-something-year-old man, got 2 kids. I'm just trying to make it. My steps are ordered. My steps are ordered. And I put $100 of gas in the bus the week before. And that youth group took that bus, and they went to the Bay Area, and they came back, and they left this bus on empty. And I had $28 left in my checking account. And this man just laughed at me. And I have so mad at God. So mad. I have $28 to my name. I go up to the stupid Safeway pump. Put 25 of it in there. I got $3 left. How happy do you think my wife was? About $3 in the account. Did I go ask the church for the $25? No. No, I made that commitment to God. I was mad about it, I can assure you. I didn't cuss, but boy, it would have been close. I don't know. I didn't borrow money, but somehow we ate. Somehow the house payment was made. Somehow all of it worked. I don't know. If you want to ask me how we paid those bills, I have no idea. I do know my wife was not happy about $3, I can assure you. We drove this car. It was called the Classic Toyota. I paid $250 for this thing. The air conditioner worked great, and that was it. As long as it stood still on, it was fine. But that was life. I don't drive a Classic Toyota anymore. I drive a pretty nice car. I got a good life. The Lord has blessed me immensely, beyond measure. But I don't know that Him requiring me to still give all is over. And do I have the courage to give all? Because it's a walk of not my convenience, but it's a walk that has been ordered by my Master. And the question is no matter where you are in life, will you have the courage to follow the steps ordered by the Master? Most won't. Most simply will not have the courage. But you have to have the courage to disobey wisdom. And you have to have the courage to disobey friends. And you have to have the courage to disobey your parents. And you have to have the courage to disobey facts that say you should not take these steps. And that takes a courage that I wish I could explain. But if you truly follow the steps ordered by our Master, you have to have a little bit of a rebellious heart. Because you have to rebel against things of ease and things of logic and things that are minimums. Because the minimums are so easy. The minimums are so comforting. I obtain the minimum standards. I'm in good favor. But do you really want to live a life obeying the minimums? Or do you want to live a life ordered by the Lord? I can't promise you a rosy mansion at the end, but I can promise you that you'll be pleasing to Him. I can promise you that He will be pleased with your life if you follow the steps ordered by Him. That's all I can promise you. I can't promise you a Rolls Royce, but I can promise you that He's pleased. And you have to ask yourself at the end of your life, do you want the Rolls Royce, or do you want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant? That's what I want to hear. That is what I want to hear. I want to live my life at the end good and faithful. Was it hard? Did I cast seed crying? Did I face the storms? Yes, yes, yes. Did I survive the storms? Not always. Was I scarred? Yes. Was I beaten? Yes. Was I bruised? Yes. Sounds so appealing. Business's mission sounds so appealing. Because everybody wants to know how to get the money without the responsibility. Blessing without the responsibility is no blessing at all. It's just not. Imagine giving your 6-year-old a blessing of the car and the car keys. It's no blessing at all. The blessing with the responsibility is the true blessing. The outcome in our humanity and what our humanity expects to see as blessing is probably wrong. I'm not even sure what blessing is. I'll be honest with you. I think blessing is the steps ordered by the Lord. I think we look at the results and we see the outcome of people's lives and say that's a blessed man because they got money. But I don't know if that's necessarily true. That is the end of what I have, and I think I'm exactly on time. Thank you.